I'm Brandon Jones. This is a live show. Do not change your channel. This is an hour of GT Live. If you're used to our regular live streams, hopefully this won't be too different, but let me explain basically what you're watching. So there's three essential components to the show. The first component is that we're actually streaming a game right now. Mr. Ben Moore is currently playing Hotline Miami 2. He is over there. You can see we got some people chilling on the couch playing a game. So we're going to be playing Hotline Miami 2 during the entirety of the stream. There is also you, the community. You are a part of the stream. We invite you to ask us questions. We have a special guest that we'll introduce in 2 seconds. And if you have questions for me, if you have questions for the GT staff, if you have questions for our guest, Elise Willems will be taking your questions. And we'll be awarding to the best question of the evening a code for Ori and the Blind Forest, which came out this week. And the third part, and the most crucial part, is that every GT Live we will have a special guest. And I could think of no more special guest than Mr. Ryan Stevens. Mr. Ryan Stevens, ladies and gentlemen, returning to the Game Trailer stage. Yeah. Although the Game Trailer stage tends to move around.
This is new for you guys, right?
This is very new. This is the first time we've ever been on this stage. This is only one other show has been on this new Defy Media stage. Mr. Ryan Stevens, what do you haven't been back on Game Trailers in a super long time. You've been hanging out with some of us, but I have not seen you.
We're playing Netrunner later tonight.
Okay, good. As long as the gaming still continues. But I haven't seen you in a super long time. How have you been?
I've been okay. You know, been stewing, growing a rat tail.
Nice.
But
was that a goal? Did you?
Kind of. I got a haircut, and the lady was like, "You want me to cut your little rat tail off?" And I was like, "What do you think?" And she's like, "Let it live." So I've been growing this thing for like a month and a half.
So I saw some people ask in chat, don't take this the wrong way, Ryan. Okay. I saw some people inquire who the heck you were. And Ryan used to be one of the review editors here at Game Trailers. Used to write a lot of reviews. You created The Depths, which is a show we desperately want to bring back that originally started talking about Dark Souls stuff, but then moved on. Were you ever on Game Trailers of Thrones?
Yeah.
Did you appear on that? Yeah.
With Marco.
You were a regular in Mr. Jeremy Hoffman. And when Shane Satterfield moved on to Greener Pastures, you assumed his responsibilities, but not his title.
Thanks.
I took it. Well, you didn't want it. They said you could be editor-in-chief, and you're like, editor-in-chief.
I don't remember that, but okay.
You basically were in charge after Shane took off. So.
And you still do that little trailer show?
Let's All Go to the Trailers,
and
yes.
Whose idea was that?
Yes. Let's All Go to the Trailers started last...
I'm sounding pretty cocky. I should
January. No, this is all about being cocky. We're GT Live.
Okay, I'm going to drink my water now.
I can't believe that GT was around for like 12 years, and I had not had the thought to do a trailer podcast where we sit down and watch trailers. And Mr. Daniel Bloodworth was very nice to step in for you in your absence. But that was your idea, and you had a good opinions about trailers. Do you still watch the show on occasion? Do you still check out
on occasion, yeah. I try to watch most of the original content stuff.
Do you still watch Game Trailers? Do you still, not the website, but just Game Trailers in general? Are you still...
Well, that's what I'm saying. I watched like you mean videos?
Yeah.
Some, but usually on YouTube.
Okay.
You know, or wherever it pops up.
YouTube's the bomb.
Yeah.
We've just discovered this. I actually had not been on the site until a couple years ago. So are you still... Right after you left Game Trailers, I could not help but notice that you dove headfirst into Destiny.
Oh, I went through like
right into the deep end.
You know how people have like K-holes? I had like a Destiny hole. I think if I loaded up my amount played on the app, it would be really bad. I'm not going to do it. But yeah, I played a lot of Destiny.
Is it the PS4 app or like a Destiny app?
It's the app on the iPhone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I played way too much of it. And, you know, it's not very good.
There's some regret there?
Yeah, you know, it was kind of like, it's like it's like bad pizza. It's still pizza, you know, you can still eat it. Or like bad sex, it's still sex, consensual. But, yeah, too much Destiny. And then I wasn't going to get the expansion pack. And I don't know if anyone remembers intern Nick, but he hated Destiny more than anyone. But he bought the expansion pack, and then he was yelling at everyone for not buying it because we were like playing together.
Well, that was the thing about Destiny.
I played a little bit of that.
That's what you had to do, is you had to hate it, and then you had to keep playing it, and then the more you complained, the more you played. Wasn't that
pretty much?
The way Destiny went?
Yeah, I definitely discovered where a subreddit that was just for me, with a lot of like-minded people. Miguel, I want to go back a couple years too. Miguel still plays a crap ton of Destiny.
Oh,
so I'm outing him
to this
right
day,
now. Yeah.
He might be playing Destiny right now.
Mm-hmm.
People are still playing Destiny. Like every time I boot up my PS4, there's one person in there, social on Earth, just strolling around.
Yeah, I mean, when the new raid comes out, I'll jump back in. I'll check out the new raid, see what the new bugs are.
So, what do you think? Not to turn this to a Destiny conversation, but could they have done something? I mean, is it one of those games where like it just is what it is, you know, and like that's kind of what they wanted to achieve?
I think it's a lot about affordances. It's the same reason why I liked Phantasy Star Online, but I always had issues with it. It has all these things that afford it, like an MMO stance, but it never pushes it. And then the expansion pack came out, and it was kind of the same thing. They had couple of good ideas, and it shows you that they're capable of the good ideas. There's just not enough where it just feels kind of lackluster, I guess, in the end. And you can kind of see it in the design. You see how big, like, have you ever looked at any of those? You reviewed Destiny, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you look at the map of Earth for patrol, and then you compare it to the other areas with the amount of just the random events, and you can tell that, like, that was probably designed first. It's the first place you go. They spend a lot of time there, and it gets, like, more and more metered out as you go. And I can see why people weren't happy with the expansion as well. The raid wasn't as good, even though the raids still tend to be the most interesting thing, though kind of beating a dead horse here, but it's hard for a lot of people to actually see the content. But, you know, it's funny how the grassroots have kind of made like looking for server and looking for group Destiny servers that, you know, play with the randos and whatnot, or blueberries, I believe. I don't know if Nick the intern is watching, but I learned blueberries is a good term.
Did you play with? Did you have like a set crew? Was there like your fire team, and then maybe you had a couple alternates every now and then, or did you just keep bringing in new?
Yeah,
people?
yeah. I played with like Miguel and this guy I barely know over there. Is it Brad? Yeah. Hi, Brad. Played
Some
with him.
weirdo named Brad Ellis.
But when I was deep into the Destiny K-hole, I definitely did a little looking for group with Destiny and stuff like that.
So are you just like holding off playing any game until Bloodborne comes out, or like what is your Bloodborne prep? What have been some of your favorite games from the year so far?
I've been playing Resident Evil Revelations 2. I was one of the, now that I'm just a lowly consumer, I was one of the people who bought the in-game season pass, where I was not able to download episode 2 for 6 days.
I heard about that.
Got to watch everyone complain and say they're selling their PS4s and whatnot. I just played Ori and the Blind Forest. I'm about maybe a third of the way through that. Very, very pretty and interesting difficulty scaling as the game goes on. Yeah, I think that's probably the main stuff I've been playing, at least lately.
But obviously Bloodborne, well, we'll get into talking a little bit more about Bloodborne later in the show, because having you on, we got to talk about Soul stuff. But I mean, excited, obviously, right? I mean,
yeah. Today, a bunch of stuff leaked from Edge, and there's definitely a couple things that I've already kind of assumed going on there. I won't say anything in case anyone's worried about even the mildest of spoilers. But going back to like the original E3 showing, I'm still a little concerned that it's kind of pushing mechanics ahead of a bigger feel, a bigger world, which I still think it's going to be a big world. There's still going to be shortcuts and a lot of stuff, but I'm wondering if it's taking a tiptoe in the direction of Devil May Cry and maybe a tiptoe away from, for lack of a better term, like a Zelda-like game, which I'm not so sure how much I'm going to enjoy. I always kind of like the slower action with the shields. I'm definitely Team Shield, which I think is probably a minority right now, but I'm definitely, day one.
So I have stayed away from the Souls games, but I have to play Bloodborne because I love the aesthetic.
Well, we live streamed, me and you have actually live streamed a Souls game.
That was one of my proudest moments.
And you tricked the boss into killing himself.
We had a lot of, I believe I was jumping out of the way, peeing in my pants. I don't know if there was a lot of tricking going on. I think I just lucked out in that moment. But yeah, that was a very classic GameTrailers on Twitch highlight. But can I call you at like 2 in the morning when I'm just like crying, weeping, trying to get through Bloodborne and my skills aren't up to snuff and I don't know what to do? Can I lean on your shoulder, Ryan?
Yeah.
Any other games this year? Are you excited? Batman's looking good, man.
Again, I wish it was more smaller. I mean, we've had this debate as well.
More smaller.
Yes.
But I'm thinking. See, I'm making the call. I'm not making the call that like they're definitely going to do this, but I think it'd be really cool if they went back to the asylum. If they're going to wrap everything up. That's where that last fight has to happen.
Did you read the ESRB leaks about the M rating stuff?
Yeah. Is that like a spoiler?
It's kind of a spoiler, so we don't have to go into detail. Okay. But I think it's probably going to do something that certain people are not going to be happy with.
Okay.
From the sound of it, I don't know. I'm still definitely psyched. I mean, when I saw that game at GDC last year, it looked like sex with a really bad frame rate, and I'm assuming they're going to make a sexier frame rate for the sexy Batman now.
I think that's like 10 times you've said the word sex on the stream, and I love it. Thank you, Ryan.
Are we age-gated?
No. It's Twitch, man. We're not the only people talking about sex on Twitch. So we're going to bring it over to the streaming couch to talk to Mr. Ben Moore, who's currently playing Hotline Miami 2. I asked this week, I said, this is big. This is a big deal, guys. This is GT Live. It's going to be our first GT Live with tons of games coming out this week. I believe it was Kyle Bossman that said Hotline Miami 2 would be a good pick. And Ben Moore jumped at the chance to be the one to be playing Hotline Miami 2 today on GT Live. What is it about Hotline Miami 2 that you dig, Ben?
You kill a lot of people in Hotline Miami 2. And you kill them in very brutal ways. I just feel like there's a spontaneity to it. There are so many oh shit moments where you kind of have to make split-second decisions, otherwise you're dead. Like, you die so quickly. And it's a game that really gets your heart racing in a way that I haven't really experienced outside of Hotline Miami 1. So I dig that pretty much.
Is it a good stream game?
It is a good stream game because it's so tense, and it's a good stream game in the sense that either you'll die a whole bunch and people will make fun of you and there's entertainment value there, or you're really good and you look like a badass and that's fun to watch as well.
Well, you have stopped playing, though. Can you not talk and play at the same time?
It's difficult. I'm going to try to talk and play, but Hotline Miami, not an easy game.
So what's happening? So where are you at right now? So you started over. So you actually are playing this currently for review. You will be reviewing this game and scoring it.
I am much farther on the PC version than I am in this PS4 version that we're playing here.
And you generally prefer, you've been playing on PC, now you're playing on PS4, and do you still prefer a mouse and keyboard controls to the PS4 controls?
Man, I can't tell anymore. I've been playing for a while with the PS4 controller, and I think I might actually like it better than the mouse and keyboard. The thing that I don't like about the default keyboard setup is you have to look like this with the shift button, and I feel like that's a little awkward. It feels a lot more natural on the L2 button on the DualShock 4.
So how far would you say are you through the game? You said it was like campaigns or stages, or how is the game broken
They call them
up?
scenes.
Okay.
And the thing about Hotline Miami is you don't necessarily know what's real, what's a hallucination, all that sort of stuff. So sometimes it seems like you're in a movie, and here, I'll pause the game, and it has this cool effect where it distorts the screen.
Love that.
And when you unpause, you get a little grain effect. It's pretty cool.
Also want to introduce Mr. Omar de Armas, who looks like your bodyguard.
Omar.
It's just like, nobody's messing with Ben today.
Well, you are a lifeguard,
He's giving me
right?
pro tips. That's what Omar's doing.
Yeah.
In my free times. Wait.
Do you have any? Are you just kind of winging it today, Ben? Do you have any goals for the stream today?
To die as little as possible. That's my goal.
Is anybody keeping track of this? Omar, are you counting his deaths? How's he been doing so far? Has he been stuck in this one stage the whole time?
We can try to keep track here. There's the first one. Mark it down. One death so far.
Chat, keep track.
But that kind of is the charm of the game, right? That you're just like try again.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of liken it to a hyper-violent Super Meat Boy in that sense, where you will die a lot, but you learn more through death.
More randomness in this game.
There is more randomness for sure. You don't usually see the whole level. Getting killed by an enemy you can't see is really frustrating and happens all the time. That's something I don't especially like. And I should stop doing executions there because the same thing keeps happening.
And the respawn is really quick.
The respawn's
which
super
helps.
quick.
Obviously, if you're playing a game where you're just like doing the same thing over and over and over again, you just got to get that perfect run. When you start over, you want that to be really instantaneous. Do you think that's the reason why the graphics are kind of simple? Like, what do you think? Was that a shot through the window? Is that what that was right there?
That was a shot through the window. Yes,
Excellent.
you have to be Windows can be great tools, or they can lead to very easy deaths because enemies can shoot through the windows as well.
But do you think the graphics aren't as detailed to maybe make the game smoother, to maybe make those respawns happen faster?
Brandon, in this game, you eviscerate people with all sorts of weapons. You shoot them in the face. You gouge out eyes. Would you want it to look any more realistic?
I don't know. I'd have to play through a major portion of that game to really to answer that question accurately.
It's nasty as is, and it's pretty much an 8-bit game, you know?
As far as nasty games go, is this up there? As far as like violent games go, do you think something like this is more violent than like a Grand Theft Auto?
I do, absolutely. There's a lot more gore in this than Grand Theft Auto. I think this and Mortal Kombat are around the same level of violence. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, I just think that's the way it is.
Mr. Stevens, what is your experience with Hotline Miami 2? Or Hotline Miami in general, the franchise?
I'm actually a big fan of Cactus. He's one of the guys who made the game. He used to make these really weird freeware games, like Clean Asia is one that comes to mind that we used to put on GT back in like 06, 07 to kind of bring back the back catalog again. So it was cool when he got like a smash hit. This game never really completely resonated. Well, the Hotline Miami one didn't completely resonate with me, but I definitely think it's interesting. You were talking about the graphics. I think it's made in Game Maker, so that can be another reason why it's a little more simple looking. I guess you can import stuff, but it's all kind of, obviously sprite based. It's kind of, I don't know. There was some guy wrote a really interesting kind of article about violence in this game, or the first game, where if you get there's like a secret ending if you collect all these tapes, and it's all like a big waste of time, and it's kind of like a weird diatribe on like gameplay versus story.
You
and stuff
find
like
out
that.
the plight of the character is a waste of time, or
No,
or
it's like
collecting all the tapes is a
like
waste of
literally
time?
like a waste of time because the story is actually like dog shit or something like that. I thought it was kind of an interesting take. But what I do like about it, and maybe it's just hey Ben, how long did it take you to get used to playing, would you say, with the mouse and keyboard?
When I was playing Hotline Miami 1, it took me a while.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a learning curve because it's not really traditional.
No.
There was an old Amiga game, I think it was called Walker, where you would walk, it was 2D side-scrolling, and you'd walk one way and you'd aim with the mouse. I never had an Amiga, but it always seemed so interesting to me. And I don't know if you remember the game Abuse. It was a PC game. It came out by crack.com. It was pretty popular. It got like... It was popular for a while, heavily moddable, open source, but then like the company went out of business. But that was another game where you could like, you can look left and shoot right, or 360 degree inside. I've always been kind of interested with that. The bird's eye view is interesting, but maybe it's the shift thing you said before. I've only played it on PC, but yeah, it never really completely gelled with me though. It's definitely an interesting game.
I miss you, Ryan. Can I just say that right now? And I'll tell you why I miss you. Because if you bring up a game that was released before the year 2000, 99% of the time, I've never heard of it. Even close. I've never heard of the developer. I've never heard of sometimes the console it was on.
Yeah.
Is that did you really just absorb all of that information when you were a wee little tyke playing games, or is this like research that you did like when you were in high school and college? Or
I mean, I got into games when I was super young, and then in college, I became one of those people who maybe read more about games than played games. Like, I didn't have a PS2 in college. I only had PC, and then eventually... Oh, no, I had a GameCube, like, day one, because, I had to get my Mario Link Samus in. But, yeah, definitely, like, back in the day, I don't know if you remember, IGN used to update only once a day at, like, 10 p.m., or East Coast.
I never paid that
so
much
I used to, like, F5 IGN every day and read, like, even if it was about, like, a sports game. So, and I have a decent memory for some things, but not so much for others.
What don't you have a decent memory for? Anniversaries.
PR people's names and faces.
Oh man, that's a challenge. Yeah, that's something that I've had. I've yet to do a full year of all of the events as editor in chief. But I send out like a warning tweet before every event. I'm just like, I don't know any of you. If I meet you or something and I get your name wrong, I apologize. I bring a third shoe along with me just to put directly in my mouth whenever I totally get somebody's name wrong.
Have you
I
tried
remember it
a
was one of the
sock?
guys. I felt really bad because one of the guys from Sledgehammer said when he came up to me at the Dice Red Carpet, I like gave him a look like, "Who are you?" And he was like, "You don't know who I am." And I was like, I was at the review event. I just reviewed Advanced Warfare. You're from Sledgehammer. Oh God, I know who you are. Of course, I don't remember his name now. So I want to bring your attention, everybody, to the fact that Mr. Ian Hink is controlling all the madness that you're watching right now. He is in the control room. Let's go to Ian Hink. Ian, what's happening right now?
Hi. Madness is right. So far, I played the wrong intro. I've screwed up the lowers a couple of times. First time back out on the TriCaster in a couple of years, so I'm getting there.
But
I
isn't
think
that
it's going all right?
But isn't that why we're doing this? So you can mess everything up, like big time. Isn't that why people watch?
Yeah.
Like you put that live name on there, and people are like, oh man, he's gonna mess it up big time. So if something goes wrong, if you're like, wait, wasn't that? I think that logo is supposed to what? That's Ian.
Yeah.
But when it's clean, when it's really clean, that's when it's Ian too.
Everything that goes wrong is my fault. Everything so far that's gone right is everyone's fault. We've been working on it together. At least is telling people what to do is good.
So to a viewer at home, it might look like you're in the attic. Are you thinking maybe of decorating the control room?
We should probably. We had this. I added this light earlier. I looked really cool, like some like noir film.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah.
I like this a lot, but then we.
It's like you're stalking us.
We added that so that you could see me, but whatever. It's pretty cool.
The TriCasters are cool. Which is what you're operating, which is,
Yeah.
the reason the show
I
exists.
like the TriCaster. Here, let me see if I can.
There you go.
That's the thing I'm doing. So like, right now I'm on camera 5, Ryan's camera 1, Jones is 3, Wyatt is 2. That's those guys. The game is 6. I gotta find out a way to. I think I can do it. I think I can do it where we fade the game audio in and out. Right now it's a hard cut. I don't like that. I'm pretty sure I got it figured out, but I don't want to do it well.
Now, Ian, I hadn't planned on you getting better at this as the shows went on.
Oh, well, I don't know what to tell you.
We'll have to plan for that. So, Mr. Ian Hank, thank you so much. So, if things are emergency, if there's anything going terribly wrong, we'll have to direct our attention straight to Mr. Hank. Right now, I want to do something that actually was your idea initially, Mr. Stevens. We used to do a show where we would talk about the countdown that we were going to do that Friday. I don't remember the name of it. What do we call that silly thing?
Did we actually do that?
Yeah, where we sit down and we'd say hey, here's the countdown we're gonna do, and then send us comments, and then we'll put the best comments in the video.
That was
short-lived,
too much right?
work.
Yeah.
But I do want to pimp the countdown that we're doing, and so Mr. Brad Ellis is joining us now on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brad Ellis.
Heyo.
And the countdown that we are doing this week for this Friday is the top 10 Souls bosses. And this is where I leave the show because I haven't invested a serious amount of time in any Souls game. We have 3 of them, right? There wasn't one I missed, right? It was Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Dark Souls 2.
Yep.
And so these are the bosses. So what makes a boss? It's just the one guy that doesn't look like anybody else. I know bosses come back sometimes, but...
Well, we judged it upon not necessarily just the boss mechanics of it, also the presentation of going in it, and kind of the first impression you got of the boss. Some definitely left a bigger impression on us when we were doing it the first time.
So I'm calling this segment number 11. So every time we
Catchy.
pick a countdown, there's always one. It's usually Mike Huber. I'd say more times than not, it's Mike Huber that's just "Wee!" It's really, really upset about something. And I got to admit, I was hoping you guys would come out screaming about something, but it seemed like you guys picked the list pretty fast. It seemed like a pretty
This is
amicable
one of the fastest
selection
definitely.
process. But I want to focus on what didn't make the list. To kind of tease the list that we're doing in the week and open a discussion about, just kind of preempt all the negative comments, because there's always negative comments. That's why you make countdowns, just to piss people off. And so there's always one that's hey, why didn't that make the list? Clearly you guys didn't even think about it. And so, I want to talk about that and show you yeah, we did think about it. So number 11 that isn't going to be on the
11,
list, and
yeah.
we don't want to spoil the list, which might be
Right,
difficult.
right.
If we spoil it, then hey, you guys tune in to GT Live and be proud of yourself that you got a little tease of what our countdown is. Number 11, who I have no idea who this is, you're gonna have to tell us, is the Pursuer. Did
Sure.
not make the top
Yeah.
10 list of the top 10 Souls bosses. So tell us a little bit about the Pursuer and why you didn't make the list.
So we chose the Pursuer for a couple reasons. When the Pursuer was first talked about by the developers, he was kind of teased as a nemesis-type character from Resident Evil 3, who would kind of appear throughout the game and kind of fight you, and you could run from her and stuff like that. He is kind of I would say, the first boss in Dark Souls 2, where it's for the new players, kind of whoa, this is a real deal kind of thing. I'm getting stomped by this guy. So Pursuer, when you're going through the game, he could show up in many different areas throughout the game. He can originally show up pretty probably 45 minutes into the game for most people, and you could fight him right there, right then. And it's just it's a separate boss fight. But if he kills you, you actually fight him later on in a real boss fight, full health bar and everything like that.
If you take him out, do you fight him again?
No, he's
okay,
gone.
That's it.
He's gone at that point. But later on in the game, there's other Pursuers that show up. And it's kind of a unique example for a Souls game.
Do those other Pursuers factor into the number 11 slot, or are you just talking about that first encounter and then possibly the second encounter? Is that
Yeah, mostly the
that's
first and
the
second
entry?
were the most important to us. Most people probably won't see the other two.
Do you dig the Pursuer, Ryan Stevens?
Yeah, I like the Pursuer. He kind of reminded me. Did you ever read or see the movie The Neverending Story?
Yes.
Do you remember? There's the Nothing, and then there's that guy going around killing everyone. It's like a giant wolf monster thing.
Gamork?
Thank you. And everyone thinks he is the Nothing or an agent of the Nothing, but he's just more of this kind of nihilistic, driven beast. I kind of thought the Pursuer was like that. I mean, I haven't read his Soul Shard lore in a while, but I always kind of thought it was interesting that here's a character who's dogging you at. I mean, it would have been better if he really did dog you at every turn, but here's a character that's dogging you and is trying to stop your quest and seems to have more of an agenda than someone else, even if the agenda in itself is just to stop you completing your quest. But having him just be in different geographic locations kind of gives a little more oomph to that, as opposed to people that like, I'm walking around in my boss lair doing bossy stuff.
So if you were to make your own personal list of top 10 Souls bosses, would the Pursuer be on it? Do you think it was a crying shame that the Pursuer
No,
did not get
I'm
included?
actually disappointed by the Pursuer because I thought he was kind of under represented. But I do think he's funny when you fight him in his, lack of a better term, his legitimate area. If you are able to parry him, you can actually run to a, what are those giant arrows called? A
Ballista.
Ballista. I just said barista, like Starbucks. And you can like shoot him for massive damage. But it's kind of funny to be able to use like one of the props and be rewarded as such.
And that's like the whole thing about Souls games, right? Is like, because that was what cracked me up. See, when we were in the old Viacom office, my office was right across from the kitchen, and I would hear you guys talk about Souls games. And it literally sounded like we were just actually talking earlier about television shows and like television shows that try to make people sound like they play video games. And it sounded like you guys were talking about some weird fantasy game on some weird show with like made up names and the item, or did you know that this sword did this or something? But that's it, right? That's like not it. I mean, there's many things about the game that are incredible, but that's one of the big things, and that's something that I'm actually kind of like nervous about because I really want to play Bloodborne quote unquote the right way, which I know doesn't exist. But like finding all those weird things, I don't know if I'll love that. I think that'll just bug me. But just being hunted by this guy, like having different experiences, that's why you dig him. Why didn't he make the list? Why was number 10 so darn special that he booted him out?
There's just too many to pick from. There's a ton of bosses in Dark Souls, but at the end of the day, we just thought he wasn't worthy of the top 10.
I thought it was interesting just to throw this out there because we have a couple more minutes in the discussion. You guys mentioned Dark Souls 2 was kind of like, was it 2 that was lacking in the boss department? There was one of the games you were like, meh. Like one of the games is actually kind of not represented very well on our countdown.
Well, we do. I mean, yeah, we have bosses from everything, but for me personally, when I look back and playing through all of them, I think Demon Souls personally is the weakest bosses for me. But I know probably no one else will agree with me on that.
So that's just you.
That's just
you're
me.
Not throwing
I'm not
anybody else
throwing
under the
anyone
bus.
on the bus from GT. That's just me personally.
Best bosses in a Souls game. What do you think? Which one?
I'd probably say Demon Souls. Not to throw you under the bus or anything, but again, it was the game I played first, and I had we had the Hong Kong import copy, so I didn't. When going into something blind is always kind of amazing as well, and I was just consistently kind of. I was flabbergasted by what I was seeing, and running away, realizing the old hero's blind. I mean, you saw blind enemies in other games before, like Resident Evil 4 and stuff like that. But it was kind of to actually realize that, or where they do use a prop. There's like the sword that lets you shoot lightning for one particular boss fight, and then 5-3 where the boss. She is a defender, but the boss herself just commits suicide, and it's not really even like a real boss fight. It's just kind of a little bittersweet, but also kind of, it's what builds the game beyond just its mechanics that also makes it interesting.
So I did a poor job of explaining this segment to you before you came on the show, and you actually brought your own number 11.
Yeah, well, I don't know what your top 10 is, but I picked one that I'm pretty sure did not make your top 10 list.
Okay.
And yeah, you were right, it's Bed of Chaos. I actually like Bed of Chaos.
Oh, no.
It's because I liked, going back to Demon Souls, I liked the Ancient Dragon God, which again was kind of like a glorified context-sensitive, not really a quick-time event. And I was seeing a lot of kind of, maybe not repeated themes, but kind of influenced themes when I was playing Dark Souls for the first time. And I was completely just flummoxed, not flabbergasted, flummoxed when I first got to Bed of Chaos. And I actually was able to kind of go back into my Soulsian knowledge. And I was like, I wonder if this is like a gimmicky boss again. And then it clicked, and it has that dramatic slide and everything where you go down and the brambles and whatnot. And it was just... I like when things are different. It's funny, people are always complaining about... it's funny because people were complaining about the lack of interactivity in something like The Order recently. Did anyone ever play Star Tropics, maybe, back in the day?
Yeah, you've mentioned Star Tropics a lot. I need to stream this game one of these days.
Chapter 4 of Star Tropics has no combat. You're literally, it's a Pinocchio story. You're swallowed by a whale, and you're only on the map screen. And my little 11-year-old head was like, this is a game, but there's no game here, and this is crazy. So sometimes you just want to zig when everyone else is zagging. I think I reversed that though. You should zag when everyone's zigging. Yeah.
I think it can go both ways. That's the beauty of it. And we have Mr. Ben Moore, who's a huge Souls fan. Any entries in the Souls list that you were upset about that didn't make the top 10 other than the Pursuer? Don't take too long.
I think though the one that I like that maybe not a lot of other people like is the Capra Demon. It was kind of a get good moment where It was something I like beat my head against the wall for an entire night, and then early in the morning I finally conquered it, and it was like, aha, I feel so good. It was a moment when I said I'm going to be playing these games forever.
But it's not really the Kefir demon, it's the two dogs.
Yeah, the two dogs are the worst part for sure.
You've also clearly bored Omar, who's he's taken off. He's done.
Omar's doing stuff. He's taking care of business.
And Elise clearly doesn't like the way you smell, Ben, because she's
She's
keeping
manning
her
the
distance.
chat. Brandon, we're keeping things locked down. That's what we're doing.
Speaking of keeping things locked down, we are GameTrailers.com, everybody, and we have trailers on the website. And so I wanted to make a point. It is halfway through our stream. Can you believe it? It's already been 30 minutes. I think it's a perfect opportunity for us to watch a trailer that's really awesome. And today we're giving away a code for the best question that we'll get to in a little bit for Ori and the Blind Forest. And I thought Ori and the Blind Forest had a marvelous launch trailer. I would even call it badass. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a badass trailer. Enjoy. That's a badass trailer. And what I really like about it is, the music in that game is gorgeous. I have yet to actually touch, or you mentioned that you're going through it right now.
I was at the launch party. It was cool. They had painted Meltdown comics. They had done a bunch of graffiti of a bunch of the characters on the outer walls and stuff. It was cool.
Oh, I'm all jealous. I want to be at the party. But I really like how they use the music from the game. And if you go back and watch it, which I recommend you do on GameTrailers.com, it has 4 clear stages of music. It's not just like it's tempting when you release a launch trailer. Something like Gears of War would have a launch trailer. It would just be heavy like the whole time. And there's clearly like builds. There's like the intro to the story, and you're learning a little bit about with no text or no dialogue or anything. Just kind of like, oh, he's on his own, and the people who are taking care of him might have passed away, and so he's got to go save the forest. And then there's like little exploration music, and then the adventure music, and then they bring it back down in the end to transition out. So I like it. That's a badass trailer. We don't do a lot of editorials anymore on GT, Ryan Stevens. We talk mostly specifically about games. We got a new show since you took off called Just Played, where we will actually get our hands on a game, whether it's at an event or whether it's a super old game or whether it's something that just came out, and we'll talk about it. But I really miss, and on GT Time every now and then we'll talk about something, but it's usually something that's very topical. But I just miss that just raw editorial conversation. So I'm curious to address Ben, who's playing Hotline Miami, which is a very violent game, and talk about violent games in general. The reviews director at Destructoid, Mr. Chris Carter, had a very funny tweet this week, which I really enjoyed. And he said, I wonder if all of the people that were offended by hatred, which I thought had a very, speaking of interesting trailers, I thought had a very interesting announcement. He said, I wonder if the people that were really offended by hatred are going to just rush out and buy Hotline Miami 2 this week. And so my question to you, Mr. Ryan Stevens, is what just at face value are the differences between a game like Hatred and a game like Hotline Miami 2? And granted, you haven't played Hatred yet, so just kind of standing back and looking at the media.
Well, I mean, with Hatred, there is we talked about this briefly before about like what's more graphic, and what did you ask Ben if was more violent?
This or Grand Theft Auto?
Grand Theft Auto.
Because there's just blood. I mean, look at this. There's just blood everywhere. It is
But
the floor
it's
is painted in gore right now.
I mean, it's a little more abstracted.
What have you done,
obviously,
Ben?
this way. I think hatred is a lot of it's just its marketing. What I think is more interesting about Hotline Miami is I know a lot of people that are actually really turned off by a lot of the actual plot elements of the game. Like the things that are fueling what's going on. But they think the mechanics, like kind of the opposite of me, they think the mechanics are so good that they keep wanting to play it. But I think Hatred's message was a little more in your face, while this is a little more, I wouldn't want to say nuanced, but I don't know. It's like there's a weird throwback, there's a weird design. But I mean, violence in video games, right? I mean, is this going to be the ongoing conversation?
Yeah, no, for the record, I have no problem with violence in video
Right.
games. I think you just hit it. Message. I think that's what interests me, and that's what I want to talk about. Is that like that can make a huge difference? Is like the context of like who am I? Why am I? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I doing these horrible acts? Who am I killing? Like
when I worked at G4 on Cinematech, I did a whole show of games that were funded by governments, like America's armies. And it was the only time I was ever told I couldn't put a game up because Hezbollah had actually, they had modded a game, and it was like this really bad first-person shooter where you were going around shooting people, and obviously, Hezbollah is kind of, on the maybe the terrorist watch list sometimes not. And it is a lot about context, right? I mean, did you play like Wolfenstein when it first came out?
the original Wolfenstein, yeah.
And you'd kill the boss, and you'd get like the glorious kill cam, right?
Right.
Like, there's been a long history of like violence prevailing, but there you're killing Nazis, right? There is still always kind of a context somewhere.
But it's interesting. Like I don't get desensitized to violence in the way that like I then want to go be violent towards human beings, or I would think that like, oh, I'm just gonna do a violent thing towards a human, and I'm not gonna care about it because I play violent video games. But I have to admit, I do get desensitized just because I've watched so many trailers a week and so much gameplay of games. I remember it was like this week it was Battlefield. I was watching a trailer for Hardline. I don't know if it was their launch trailer, but and it just kind of struck me as they were like driving around a boat and blowing up something on a bridge. Like I don't know if you ever have those moments where it's like, I wonder if that guy had a family. It's like the joke from Austin Powers. They actually like call his wife.
I mean, it's the body count question, right? And it's why people keep talking about Uncharted 2 when Drake throws the guy off the wall, and if you stay, you see him swimming away. He lived. Or when you play when you play the Batman games,
none of
those guys died.
The animated series, they like made a point to show them like getting out of the car, and like no, he's fine.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny in Arkham, the new Arkham, that you're firing. I still think it's funny that you're shooting rockets when you're in the Batmobile, that explode.
Yeah,
But whatever.
It senses if people are living or not living. So if you're like aiming at a drone, it's like, I'll use this gun. And if you're aiming at a person, it's like, oh no, I'll go back.
Is it actually like retconned into Batman's rockets on his Batmobile?
I think that was. I don't know if the developers at conventions can specifically speak to retconning Batman lore.
But I mean, I think Hatred's real parallel is probably more something like Postal, right? Or Postal 2, obviously, where it was like you can beat Postal 2 in 45 minutes. It's like you go get a stamp and some milk and you wait and you let the days pass. But it's about being like this weird misanthropic murderer and going around and killing people and putting a cat on your shotgun. I didn't really play Postal 2, but it made the rounds. Postal 3 ever come out?
Maybe.
I don't even know.
That's another reason I miss you, Ryan, is words like misanthropic don't get thrown around a lot.
Have you seen that? I've been tweeting you every time I see the word Kafka-esque.
So we did a countdown, not to go on a tangent, but we did a countdown where you were talking about Silent Hill, and you referred to the fog in Silent Hill as a Kafka-esque fog. And my then girlfriend, now wife, Amanda Troop, was like, "What? Kafka? What?" And I made the mistake of telling you that she said that, and now it's
Is she playing Resident Evil Revelations 2?
No.
Because there's a lot of Kafka in there.
There's a lot of Kafka in there?
You could even say it's Kafka-esque.
All right. Ben Moore, who's currently playing this extremely violent game that we're talking about, does this game, even for a second, and I'm not loading this question, does this game disturb you ever? Or do you ever just kind of look at the carnage and you're like, I don't feel good about this?
No, because it's hard to completely understand what's going on with the narrative so far. They're being intentionally misleading and making you question everything. And so, it's hard to be too taken aback by something if you're not sure if the game's being serious or if it's just trying to pull one over on you.
Even the opening scene? Not even for a second?
Yeah, if the game is knows itself enough to put that warning in there and to put a setting in the settings like, hey, we can turn off that scene for you. Isn't that too much?
The problem with the opening scene is I saw it months and months and months ago, and so when I witnessed it here, it didn't have the same effect on me. But yes, the first time I saw a video of that scene, it did disturb me a little bit. I think Hotline Miami 2 is a good game. I'm not saying it should be censored or anything like that. It intentionally forces you out of your comfort zone, which I think is a cool thing that not a lot of games aim for.
So to wrap up, this leads us right into our next segment, which is just one last time before we get into the Q&A portion of the show, to check back in with the streaming couch and talk about Hotline Miami 2 and how the stream's gone. How's it been, Ben?
Brandon, we had something happen, and you
Oh
guys
my
were in the midst
goodness.
of a discussion we couldn't show you. There's a point where you kill somebody in this level, and you
Right.
you have to go get their keys. And the keys actually fell in a place that we couldn't get to them. So we couldn't finish the level and had to restart it.
Can you restart it? Can you just manually
Yes.
go to the menu
So
and
you
then...
just hit start and then you hit rewind and you restart
okay.
it.
I
But
see what they did there.
you know, made all this progress and then just couldn't finish the level. This game actually has quite a few bugs, which I was surprised.
So that's not the first time that's happened to you.
That's the first time that I haven't been able to finish a level in that way. But a lot of times enemies will get stuck on doors or just weird things will happen that kill you inadvertently, and it's pretty frustrating.
Was that common in Hotline Miami 1?
I don't remember it being as buggy in Hotline Miami 1. No. It's been a while, but I don't remember
what happened,
it being
Ryan?
so buggy.
What happened?
Well, if it's still made in Game Maker, they were just bought by like a casino company, so maybe they're
Oh.
funneling that money into making free-to-play apps. I don't really know.
That's probably it. Well, we've talked about violent games in Hotline Miami 2 enough, so now we're going to get to the Q&A portion of the show. Thank you so much, everybody who has asked questions. If you asked a question and it was a really good one and you felt good about it inside and we don't get to it, I apologize, but we only have so much time. I figured 20 minutes, the last 20 minutes of the show, give or take, would be a good chunk of time to sit down and talk about questions. And coming to the stage, Elise
Hey.
Willems. First time on GT Live.
Yeah. You
Sander
too,
Cook.
This
huh?
whole time, yeah.
Good to see you. Cool to have you on, Ryan.
So we haven't done this yet where we've gathered questions. How did that go?
It was fun. Some really good questions, some repeats. So I tried to isolate whoever was first asking.
Right.
But yeah, I think we should just get into it. So this is a pretty heavy-handed question coming up. Are games disposable? The games media and most of my fellow gamers seem to only focus heavily on upcoming releases. A game like The Order 1886 is covered and hyped for years, and as soon as the review goes up and we blast through it, it's never to be seen again. It's off to the next game. That's from Mike Hook. Do you guys kind of agree with that sentiment? Is this sort of where we're at, where a game gets this kind of hyped attention and then...
What say you?
I think it's always kind of been that way, and obviously certain things are going to stick to the wall. You know, people do retrospectives on certain games and game series and get sequels. I would say maybe the reverse of that is that developers or publishers are sometimes giving much shorter lead times to games. I still remember when Ubisoft announced the second Call of Juarez game, and then it like launched 4 months later, and Nintendo was doing that for a while with some of their lesser properties, like the Excite Truck sequel, like Excite Bots and like Wario Shake It. It was like 6 weeks from announcement to launch, which is kind of weird because, you know, there may be not big games, but then it's like, when are you going to do your speculation, the fun times on the message boards, getting a new trailer, getting kind of a little bit of information here and there. So, but as we've seen in at least, console development, unless you're like an indie game, the costs are just so much that, that B and C tier stuff's just kind of disappearing and few and far between.
I think the thing that worries me is that actually I've been following a lot of people, and they actually talked about this when I was at DICE earlier this year, talked about game preservation. They're actually just opening like a museum.
Did you talk to Frank Cifaldi?
See, these are the names that I don't know. You know that name. You said you're nervous about not knowing names, and you just threw this name at me.
Well, he's not PR, so.
Oh, okay. Well, there you
It's
go.
only PR people.
Right. Is he the one who's building this museum?
He's one of the guys that was really big into game conservation. He worked at Gama Sutra for a while and some other, I think 1UP before that, but he's a cool guy. A lot of interesting stories.
So on one hand, like, yeah, I'm worried that there's a lot of awesome old games like the Commodore and the Amiga, like these old consoles that it's just such a headache to like get something up and running that a lot of people won't get a chance to play that. But at the same time, you look at the culture now, like we're streaming on Twitch right now, and people are, get to check out old games that they, would have never played before because somebody has access to them. And so, yeah, maybe play games, they're slightly disposable, but as far as like getting access to games, like I think people can, I think in this day and age. So, yeah, mixed bag. That's a safe answer.
Mixed bag.
This question.
I'm flummoxed.
Can we get a graphic for? Yeah.
We need a mixed bag graphic for this show.
Okay, I'm
Just make a note of that, please. This one is such a Ryan question. It's from.
Is it about
Sazanami?
text adventure games?
Sort of, could be. Sazanami Style wants to know if you had to introduce somebody to a totally obscure and unknown 90s or 80s PC game that they've never heard of, but is interesting to play and people should do so, what would it be?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think almost everything from the 80s is probably kind of obscure at this point.
Yeah.
But again, I think I'd really want people to play Trinity, which was this Infocom game. I don't know if you guys saw the news where at GDC, Brian Moriarty wanted someone to redo Loom.
Ian, do we have a Trinity
Yeah,
B
just
roll?
roll
Can we
that
roll
in
that in?
for us,
Ian,
please.
Trinity, please. No, not
It kind
okay.
of looks like a blue screen of
Don't
death.
have it.
But the guy who created Loom, he is also the guy who wrote Trinity, which is a weird time-traveling, anti-nuclear war sort of text adventure game that's ridiculously hard, but also kind of, I don't know, it's poignant as well, which is, that's something that you don't see a lot in games. I was playing, what's the game that's based on the guy's alcoholic father? Oh, Papo and Yo.
Oh, right.
Finally played it. Been wanting to play it for a long time, and I think I said this game is like equal parts poignant and janky, and but it made me realize a lot of times, you can get a certain level of emotional pornography, but to actually get something that actually has any sort of real weight to it is sometimes kind of hard to pull off.
I can see them running with that quote in a TV spot or in a trailer, equal parts. What was it? Jank, yeah. Just like, oh, we'll take the jank.
This is from Tongue Surgery. What
names.
does the panel think of Unreal 4, Unity 5, and Source 2 all being free, with stipulations, to use and create games? Is anyone worried about an oversaturated market of indie titles because of these offers down the line? So is anyone and everyone
Is there any way to oversaturate the indie market? I mean, there are so many indie games that come and go that like I barely even hear of, and they're just gone. Talk about disposable. I mean, there's just and that's just the nature of the beast. It's like if you're an independent developer, you're making games because you're passionate about it. It's like if you're an actor just starting out, it's like you're, unless you're super lucky, it's just that lightning's not going to strike.
I'm probably going to regret saying this, but I feel like a lot of interesting indie games, like if you read like the stuff going up on Kill Screen or whatever Rock Paper Shotgun kind of scrapes up, a lot of the stuff's very interesting, but there is so much of it that sometimes you just want to get that nugget of what it is, and a lot of times it's not always worth diving into. That's not to say that's true across the board. Like I had so much fun with Papers, Please on so many levels, on like a mechanical level, on a story level, on a contextual level. But going back to the original question, oh, never mind. I was going to say stuff about Unity, but actually the question was about too many indie games. I think we're kind of there. Have you seen like those stats of how many games are getting released on like the App Store each day?
Oh, it's insane.
It's interesting.
Well, I mean, speaking of the App Store, I mean, you look at that thing and like that list doesn't change. Like every time I go back, I'm like, I wonder what's on the simulation or the strategy list on my phone. It's like, it's always the same games. Like,
yeah.
So
it's kind of stagnant.
It's really tough to break through. But at the same time, like whenever I go to an event, I was really sad I didn't get to go to PAX East. But like whenever I go to PAX, it's always those weird games that I've never heard of that like I walk away being most excited about. And then the big games, it's like, yeah, okay, Batman. Like I'm good. Like I don't actually need to play Batman because I know I'm gonna buy it. I know I'm gonna experience it eventually.
Well, I think we're not seeing like people make new genres anymore. And that was something that used to happen with bigger games, and they take that chance. And now we see people kind of sidling up to some ideas, but generally things kind of fit into buckets more and more for the bigger games, and the chances of being happening elsewhere, and hopefully some of those are going to float up, but who knows. Reverse Reaganomics for games.
Ryan Uzumaki 22. This question is mainly for Brandon, but I think it can apply to Ryan too.
No, it's cool.
No.
Camera
on me. On me.
We're a quarter of the way through the year so far, end of Q1. What has been your trailer of the year so far, if you had to choose one now?
Oh, man. I was really happy last year because when Overwatch came out, I was like, all right, done. Screw it. I'm done. God, trailer of the year so far. Oh, I don't know. I'm putting it on the spot because there's so many.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Let's move on to another question. I'll think about that, and I'll get back to it. Ask Ryan this one.
Ryan, do you have a favorite trailer so far?
No.
No comment. Ryan, what are your thoughts on Rock Band 4? Do you think that this game will make money or will it be a flop financially? Also, will it be accepted with glee or will it be something no one cares about? From RHD, longtime fan.
I bet
longtime
Glee is
viewer.
really excited about Rock Band 4. They'll probably do an episode on it. Oh, is that
Is
not
Glee
the
still
first
on?
one? Yeah, it's final season.
Really? I was shocked when I learned that Grey's Anatomy is still a thing.
Do you remember Jag?
Yes!
Jag was on TV forever. Like, I was in high school, and then I went to college, and then college was over, and Jag was,
And Jag was still
on.
there. But I think Jag is always there for us, and that's the beauty of Jag.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't even know what that show's about, but it always had commercials.
Anyways, so Rock Band 4 is a thing.
I think it's going to do okay. I think it's interesting. Activision, you look at the declining. Activision is a phoenix that keeps doing the exact same thing, where it's like, let's run Tony Hawk for 10 years until everyone hates it. Let's do. I mean, they bought Guitar Hero. They bought the rights to Guitar Hero. They wanted to turn this into this weird franchise thing, and they did it until it kind of petered out with the Plastic Instruments and whatnot. And isn't Tony Hawk's rumored to be coming back again this year too?
He made
so
some
I don't know if these are rising again. I think it's going to do okay. They're doing some interesting stuff with you being able to get your back catalog content. I know I threw away all my Plastic Instruments a little while ago. I think I may still have a guitar, but then will those won't even plug into your newer systems, right?
They have to, right? Yes. We need them to.
Are they? They didn't when all the people who bought
They
Guitar
didn't,
Hero 1
that's
and 2 on
true.
PS2 were shit out of luck.
They already confirmed that.
Okay.
Matt Blair confirming that.
Matt Blair.
Well, it's Matt Blair confirmed, so take that as you will. Batman Arkham Knight, the Gotham is Mine is my that is the highest score I've given this year so far, unless I go to the trailers. And the reason why, not just because I'm a Batman fan, although that is part of it, but I was a little nervous about some things. Like there was the big thing for me was that the whole Gotham was all up and leaving, and they're either all gone out of Gotham or they're all inside buildings, but you never see some kid walking down the street in Gotham City. And 4 games in the franchise that kind of bugged me, and that trailer redeemed that. I was cool with that. I don't know, it really kind of set up what they wanted to do with the story, and to make a diehard Batman fan more excited about a Batman game, even more excited. I didn't think I could be more excited about that game, and that trailer did it. So that's my pick of the year. Selfishly, Batman.
You practically are Batman. around
Don't
these
say it, don't
parts.
say that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Are you wearing the
Black
underoos?
sometimes. What?
Are you wearing the underoos?
I am wearing black underoos. Next question.
Next question.
Oh, and
You heard
I
it
don't-
here first.
and I'm nervous about Rock Band 4, just for the record. I don't have a good feeling. I think if one thing saves it, it's streaming. I want to see Boogie stream this.
The
I
problem
want to
is-
see what PewDiePie does with Rock
Right.
Band 4.
But there's a major issue with that. We did a one night only Rock Band stream because Twitch is going to mute those streams after.
well, it's live. It's just like GT
It's
Live.
licensed.
You got to get it when it happens.
It's licensed music, yeah. So
It's like
gonna be-
listening to a Fish concert after. It's just
Oh,
not,
God,
it's just
please,
not the
no.
same. It's just not
No.
the same. You got to be there.
I hate Fish.
You got to be there. You going to Chicago, man? Grateful Dead's
Oh.
coming back. Trey's gonna be the lead.
I forget who said it, but someone once said the people that like fish choose to like fish. It's a choice.
All I know is my brother likes Fish, and I got him a CD on Amazon 14 years ago, and it's like my preferences are still haunted by that purchase. Every once in a while,
We should have
It's
a
like
we
string
should
cheese
have a
incident.
tangent lower third, Ian. We should have a little tangent character that pops up. They're just oh, there they go.
Yeah, that'd be
They're talking
good.
about fish
a
again.
tangent timer. We need to build that tangent timer. I'll write that down. Next question.
This is from Jay Papa. What is a game sequel that would be your dream come true, but is most likely not going to happen? Or in Huber terms, what is your Shenmue 3? Unless it is actually Shenmue 3.
That's a good question.
I really want another SSX. I don't know if that's my big thing, but that's one of those franchises. I remember when GoldenEye came out, and they're we're making Perfect Dark, and it took 5 years, and I'm just make more maps. This is before DLC. I'm just make another GoldenEye. Just do same thing. You don't have to change anything. Same weapons. I just want to go through new areas. And SSX is one of those series that I just want that to keep coming out. I really love that game. I just really love playing that.
I'm going to kind of wuss out and say King's Quest because I don't really know my real answer, but I was so happy to see that it's happening
Wuss.
and that it's looking good because King's Quest 4 taught me to type.
Have you gotten better or worse at typing since you first played King's Quest?
I have to ask my mom a lot. I don't have to ask my mom as often to type things for me.
And a shout out to my wife who's watching at home. Is a big King's Quest fan.
Cool.
Yeah.
I got to fit in one of the. Do you want to, James, shout out just as long as you're here? No, you're done?
No.
Okay, good.
More. It's our wedding anniversary. Are there more?
Today?
Yeah, more time for questions, though. Let's get to these questions.
You're married? Does Ian know?
This is from Blue Randy 8. What do you guys think of the idea of the Souls games PvP/Covenants incorporated more into the bosses, almost like Evolve? So like you'd have Old Monk from Demon Souls, where an opposing player gets to play as the actual boss. Do you think that this is like a trend that we're going to see more?
Brad Ellis, thumbs up on that one. You want to just on camera, thumbs up. Just get that thumb out there, Brad. Just so they can see it. Nope,
it's on camera.
over. There, yes, there. Good. Get it right there in Ben's face. Ben, you like that? You like Ben's nodding. Thumb up.
Looking thumb.
Thumb up from Brad. Nod from Ben. What say you, Ryan Stevens?
No, it's cool. I mean, again, when I was playing that game before I knew anything about it, I came into the office, and this is with Justin and Patrick, and I was like, last night, I was the boss for someone else. They're like, what? But it's kind of funny, like, that idea has definitely been maybe not used so well, but, like the Watch Dogs multiplayer tried to do something like that as well. Not really a boss, but that kind of idea has been, people are trying to incorporate it, and I think it's an interesting way to get people to play a multiplayer game even if they don't necessarily want to play a multiplayer game, and add a little bit of that human element that does make games a little more fun.
I don't know jack about Souls, but
You don't know Jag?
I don't know. No, yeah, I do know Jag. I mean, we were talking about Jag. I can go on Jag for 4
It
hours.
always comes back to Jag.
I'm concerned if Jag will come up in future episodes of GT Live. I'll have a problem with that.
I'm going to make sure it does.
But it's like we're in this next gen now. I think we're far enough into it that we call it we can safely call it the current gen without it's like you write the new year and you cross it out in checks. But this whole kind of messing with multiplayer, this whole kind of like Fable Legends and Evolve, and you're saying Watch Dogs, that feels next gen to me. That's really exciting about this new generation. That's not something we were doing last gen. I mean, Dark Souls. I remember when Dark Souls came out, you were like, "This is next gen." You're like, "This is they're predicting the future of kind of what people."
No,
are
a lot of
exploring.
those ideas. I mean, other than I think Eden Games, when they were doing one of their test drive games, kind of tried to do some of that earlier to not much success. I think it really is kind of like, I don't know, a real marker for what's happening in games right now. I mean, even when I was playing the Talos Principle, I saw Ian's little message pop up on a little QR code, and it was like, oh wow, and I mean, it's cool to see that happen even on something like Steam, where this kind of stuff happens.
Yeah, and I think things like Windows 10, the cross compatibility we're going to see between PC and Xbox One, as we get further into next Jag, we're going to see a lot more of that integration, which is really cool.
Do you think there's going to be a lot of Jaggies in next Jag?
You said Jaggy earlier, didn't you?
Jank.
Janky.
Oh,
Oh,
Now I
sorry.
said Jaggies.
I'm gonna next episode we're gonna have to push for that in the Twitch chat for some good Jag questions.
I'm gonna wear a Navy uniform in the next episode.
This one's from Rosamoon. I recently wanted to play some games, and looking at current stuff, I felt no motivation to play when I could just watch the whole game on Twitch TV or YouTube and do something else at the same time. How do you feel Twitch and YouTube are affecting the video game industry, good or bad?
Gotta be good,
It has to be, right?
right? It's all good.
Again, this
We're
is
not doing anything bad right now, are we?
No, again, this is maybe the thing where maybe some of the small one-note, 5-minute games, maybe you just watch it and you get it. But again, those are a little more like little 2DAs than like a full experience. But in general, I think most people are going to buy what they're going to buy. And I would say like piracy is still probably way worse than people being able to watch a game.
Yeah, piracy sucks.
Okay, well, I think that's all of our time for questions.
That's all of our good questions.
All of
there we go.
our time
we're
for questions.
And we're wrapping up. We have 2 minutes left.
Yeah, so
If I talk about all the cool things happening on GT this week, we might make it out at 7 p.m.
Thanks
Unless
for,
you.
It's not like
else
it's my
to say.
wedding anniversary or anything. No, I'm not married, really. Don't tell Ian.
Sander Cook.
That's all for the questions. Thank you guys for all the questions you submitted. And check your inboxes because I'm not going to say who got the code.
Yeah, you guys can discuss amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
We don't want to like shame everybody else like in the show.
No, you can.
Everyone else had bad questions. This person only had
Yeah,
the good questions.
you can go into Twitch chat after and brag about it and shame
Right.
everyone.
Was it difficult to come up with the best one?
I'm still not even
were you
sure which
struggling?
one.
You
was.
haven't picked it yet? Go over there and pick the best question. Did you have a clear best question? Was there one that?
No, it's
liked
all a
out of all
blur.
this? Yeah, I don't even remember what the heck we were talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, that was GT Live. I just want to talk really quickly about stuff that's coming up on GT this week. Like we mentioned before, we're doing the top 10 Souls bosses. It's going to be up on Friday. We are still going through all of our PAX East and GDC coverage. We have a really great Just Played a Mortal Kombat X coming up. Andrea Renee checked out Overwatch at PAX East, and she talked to Ben Moore about it when she came back. We have our second part of our GDC bonus round with Danny O'Dwyer, Greg Miller, and Steven Totillo. Steven is a classic bonus round guest. We have another Just Played that's a bunch of awesome indie games that Andrea Renee played. Again, I mentioned like one of my favorite things about PAX is playing all the indie games, and so she mashed like a bunch of things that she checked out, including one game you can only play once. You hear about this? You like jump in, you play it, and then you die, and you're done, and you never play the game again. Yeah. So yeah, lots of crazy stuff happening at PAX. Mandatory update, of course, with Elise Willen and Ian Hink. And we got some awesome streams. Elise, you are playing Katamari tomorrow with Amy Dallin. Did I pronounce that correctly? And I will be doing my first. We do full playthrough Fridays now. We got to play through the whole game. Mike Huber's been leading the charge here, and I'm doing my first full playthrough Friday on Friday. I'm terrified. I'm going to be playing Super Castlevania 4. It's a game I've beaten many times, but I'm just convinced that this is the Friday where I will not beat it. But if you want to tune in for that and more stuff on GT, you can tune in later this week. Thank you so much, Ryan Stevens, for being here. Not only for just here in general, but to kick off what is GT Live. What'd you think? What'd you think of GT Live? Any advice for it? Anything that was uncomfortable?
Don't lean back.
You brought your own water. I was going to get you a beverage, but you came prepared.
I wanted bubbles.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. Really quickly, if I can plug, you may remember someone named Shane Satterfield.
Yes.
Well. He is starting his own video live stream thing tomorrow, and I will be a Skype guest, and people can watch that 6 p.m. Pacific tomorrow at twitch.tv/SIFTD Games, no underscore or anything, just SIFTD Games.
Sifted Games, take the E out.
Yeah.
In Sifted.
And I have no clue what I'm talking about there, so it's going to be a little bit like today. But you got me the rundown eventually.
I did prep you on Dark Souls. I did make sure, and that actually just worked out. Like we hadn't planned that when I originally gave you the call, and I was like, "Hey, GT Live." I didn't know about Souls, but that was fortuitous.
No, it's fun.
And that's a good idea. I should have the guest plug something, just like be quiet. But yeah, actually, I'm hoping to have Shane talk about Sifted Games on the show before too long. Hopefully, sometime in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you guys enjoyed GT Live. Please leave comments. I left the stream open on my computer. I'm going to go back and read all of your comments. You can reach me at GameTrailersVO. You can follow us. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and especially YouTube. We're doing a big push to our YouTube channels. You can check us out at youtube.com/GameTrailers. You can also check us out at youtube.com/C/GT Reviews, and that's where all of our Just Playeds, and that's where GT Live is going to go. So if you have friends who are like, GT Live, what the heck is that? And they want to check it out, we'll be archiving this tomorrow on that channel, and we'll be archiving it on GameTrailers.com. And of course, visit GameTrailers.com. That is our website. You're on Twitch right now, but we are a website, and we would appreciate it if you go check it out. And of course, you can subscribe to us on Twitch if you want to. And thank you very much, Ryan Stevens,
thank you
for
having
showing
me.
up and chatting about stuff. And thank you guys for watching. That was GT Live. We'll see you next week.